Okay, so here's heat 3. So you can see Marco's in the middle of the road there. He was supposed to be a little bit wider where I was, but I'm on the outside and I just can't seem to get anywhere through, and I ended up running into Marco's back tyre, and I still came out last. So here I am in 5th place out of 5, just trying to figure out how I'm going to get through this bunch. And you can see just behind me there was a red cart that spun. This guy's from the other class, and this actually impacts our race, or it impacts my race a little bit later on. So here I am behind Marco, and Nick's out front, Dylan, then Dan, Marco, then me. Okay, here I am, lining him up. He's looking for me, and somehow I managed to go down the inside, so that was really good. Managed to go right down the inside. He was quite kind to me there, he let me through. And now I'm up behind Dan, and I feel like Dan is very quick, and it's particularly on the straight. Like, I don't know, I think I'm still struggling out of that last corner. Well, not the last corner, but coming just in front of the pits there, the little hairpin. I just feel like my cart is not quite pulling out of there as fast as I'd like it to. So I'm struggling a little bit to then line people up at the end of the straight. So here we go, coming in there, and just feel like he's just edging away from me a little bit in the beginning, and then it's really hard to make that space up before the end of the straight. So here I am. Looks pretty close, but I've still got a couple of cart length difference, and Marco couldn't get past either. So when we get into the brakes, I feel like I've got a lot of ability to brake late, but I just haven't been able to get close enough. So Nick is still in the lead here, and Dylan's trying to have a go, but can't quite get through. And there we go, we can see that this guy in red has overtaken Marco, and now he's up behind me. Now, he's from the midfield of the other class, so he's faster than us because he's lighter. Okay, but he's trying to get back through his race. But the thing is that he's miles away from the other people in his class, and getting involved in our little battle is going to be a little bit frustrating. So there we go. Oh, you can see Dylan's gone off. So Dylan pushed it a little bit too far, did a full 180 spin. And there I go again. I can't get past Dan down the inside. I tried to get close, but just couldn't quite get there. So really, really stuck here. And again, this guy in the red is just behind, trying to stalk me down. Again, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to get past Dan, because Dan is very quick. And he doesn't make that too many mistakes, really. So I'm trying to wait for them to have some sort of thing so I can get past them. Tried to push it through here, but just not close enough. And again, you want to stay really close here, but again, I'm just losing a little bit to Dan there. And the guy behind me's actually got a run. Oh no, he didn't quite that time, so he pulled out there. But nevertheless, Dan's getting really close to Nick. Is he able to get through? No, he couldn't quite get past Nick there, so Nick's getting a lot of straight line speed, which is good for him. But we're just bottled up behind him here, not able to go anywhere. And through the rest of this section here, unless somebody makes a big mistake, it's very difficult to pass on this circuit. And I had no idea that this guy in red was behind us at this stage, because I don't actually have a rear camera. But anyway, so just trying to get past Dan as much as I can. Still staying pretty close. Now I've got to get a good exit here. Here we go. So not the best exit. Just gets away from me a little bit, and you can see this guy's gotten alongside me. And I have to back out of the throttle and let him through. And I'm thinking, oh great, this is annoying, because what I want to be doing is getting up to Dan, and he's right cutting up between the middle of us. Now if he can get past Dan, that would help me. But with him in the middle, and he's faster than us, it's very difficult for me to do anything with him there. You can see he's itching to have a go, but he doesn't know who Dan is and what he's going to be like, and he goes up the inside here, and he has to slam on the brakes, and then I slam on the brakes, and then Marco gets past me. So I was really annoyed at this point, because I'm thinking the only option I had there was to slam on the brakes, which I did, and it's completely ruined my race. So now I'm last. And yeah, really struggling here. And you can see how far away they are up ahead. The Rotax has a bit of an issue in terms of when you stamp on the brakes and you lose the speed, it takes a while for the throttle to come back. Like it doesn't. Oh, there we go. So I'm really closing up on the brakes against Marco, but the key is going to be if I can actually get up alongside him, and that's the issue I have, where I'm not getting close enough. This is the thing, see, just not getting enough power out of this corner, and then already he's got a couple of kart lengths, and it's not that easy to get closer because it's just flat out all the way through here. Not a lot else I can do, and you can see Marco's taking a nice tight line in, and I can brake later than him. You can see how much I'm gaining on the braking, but there's just nowhere to go. So very, very frustrating, and I'm thinking, God, at this point I really wanted to be up the front. And looks like Dan's got past Nick as well, so that's all been taken care of. And now that guy is actually still trying to get past Nick. So he passed me really quick, but he's not even able to get past Nick, so he's just really putting himself in the middle of our race. So not really that helpful. So we'll just have a look at one more, see how I go out of this corner. So again, he's getting a couple of kart lengths on me. And even if I can brake later than him, if I can't get up the inside, it's very difficult for me to actually make a pass here. And you can just see how far away, and that's the last lap actually, so that just goes to show you how difficult it is. Okay, here is the final, and I'm lined up in third place. I'm just behind Nick there at the front, and I get a good run on him, and I managed to go down the inside into the first corner. So I was so relieved at this because just before the race, in Heat 3, I had a really, really bad race and I was just stuck in traffic. I couldn't get through, and I was thinking to myself, I don't want to have to pretend to smile on the podium because there's only 5 runners. So I made myself a pact. I said, I'm going to go for it in the first corner, as best as I could anyway, and I managed to get a good run. And Nick fortunately left the door open for me, so that was really, really good. Anyway, so now it's into lap 1, and the wheel is secure this time, so don't have to worry about the wheel coming off. And fortunately, I'm getting a little bit of a gap on him already, so that's perfect. And of course, this is not Nick's not used to this circuit very much. It's only his second race at this circuit too, so I've got a little bit of a experience edge on him here. And I know that the danger man is going to be Dan, because Dan is really quick. But he, as you can see, he's in third place. He's just tucked up behind Nick. And then it's Marco and then Dylan. So really just trying to keep it as tidy as possible. I really feel like it's such a different thing when you've got clear air on this circuit. It makes such a difference. So I really felt quite comfortable now because I knew that I'd be okay. As long as I had clear air, I could really start to push and see what sort of gap I could get. And you can see those 2 other classes in front of us, but I am leading my class, so that's the main thing. But we're actually starting to come up to some of the back. Oh, there we go. Dan's getting through on Nick down the inside. And even though I didn't know this was happening, in my head I was thinking, I need to get up the road as quickly as possible, because I knew that Dan would be quick. And I couldn't see behind me, but I just didn't want any chance for him to even get remotely close to me. So I was looking at these guys coming up ahead, and I was thinking, okay, when I get to them, I'm going to need to overtake them really quick. Because Dan's actually quite, I think he's quite good at overtaking. He does seem to be put in some really bold moves. Anyway, so we go flat through those straights. This corner here, the second flat out straight, is such a difficult corner. It's very hard to explain it fully, but yeah, it's very easy to spin there, as I did when the wheel came off. And this little corkscrew here is a really interesting corner. And this corner here, this is the old long circuit going up into the middle section here. And as you may notice if you have watched any of my other videos, usually it just goes straight there and it's a lot faster lap. So this configuration of this circuit is actually 5 seconds a lap slower, roughly, than the national circuit, they call it. Anyway, so here I am, I'm closing up to this guy who's obviously a P-plater, and he's running a KA3 engine, so their class is actually a little bit faster than ours, because we run about 15 or 10-15 kilos heavier than they are. So anyway, so I was really happy to get through there into the first quarter. You can see Dan, there's Dan, and then Nick coming up the hill. And I've got a big bunch of karts here that I've got to get through, and I was really fired up before the end of before the start of this race, actually, because of what happened in Heat 3. I didn't actually publish that race, but I can just tell you verbally, nothing much happened. I was basically just stuck in traffic the whole time because I couldn't get past, I'm not sure who I was behind. I think I couldn't get past Dan, and then I couldn't get past Marco. So it was basically just went from bad to worse the other race. Here we go, so he actually left off the throttle, so I gave him a nice wave because he let me through. And this guy was a bit tentative coming in there, and he actually waves me through as well. So I was very fortunate that these guys could actually recognise that I'm actually in a different class. So they let me through quite nicely. So now I've got 3 karts between me. Oh, there you go. There's Marco going past Nick. Now I've got 3 karts between me and Dan. And turning into this corner, I really love this corner. It's such a satisfying feeling when you just stamp on the brakes and just turn in. And I found that I've actually, I feel anyway, that I'm quite good on that corner, and I've been able to pull out a little bit from the other people when it comes to that corner. So that's the advantage of the long circuit. And I just had to unwind the steering wheel there so that I didn't slide the rear around, because it's so tempting on this circuit to drive it like a rally car and slide the backhand out, but it's just slower. So there I am looking behind me because I know that Dan's going to be hunting them down. And you can see there's 1, 2, 3, and then Dan closing them down. There's Marco, Nick, and now Dylan's trying to get past Nick as well. So this corner here, I love it. Just turning in, and see how nice and wide that is. That was a good one there because I didn't slide the rear too much. And then coming down this little dip and then going back up the hill always feels really slow, because on the national circuit, it's an incredibly fast turn in there. So it's much slower over on the long circuit. And this corner here I really struggle at. I feel like it's really hard because it's probably the lowest revs on the entire circuit. So you have to find a way to keep the revs up. And now I've got a bit of a gap. This guy ahead of me is a little bit further away, so I've got a bit of space. But you can see Dan is getting ever closer to those guys. Sliding it through the corkscrew. Let's see how I go this time. Oh, beautiful. And then really ducking it down into this little corner here. And then here, you really want to keep the power on as much as possible so that you can go up over the hill nice and easy. And the amount of friction you get inside the kart around these corners here is immense. It really bobs and hops everywhere. There we go, that was a nice little entry into that corner. And these straights, although they're flat out, they are both quite tricky, especially this one. The kart is actually lifts up off the ground at one point. And here we go, Dan's coming down the inside of these guys, so now there's only 1 kart between us. And I get a little bit stuck here because I didn't feel like I was close enough to go down the inside, so I probably lost about half a second there. And there we go, I'm getting all crossed up, so this is not looking good. So Dan's definitely probably catching me at this point. And I'm just thinking, how am I going to get past this guy? I really felt an urgency that I had to pass. So I actually tried to pass him up here. Just stuck the throttle in and just slid it up the inside. Fortunately, he didn't turn in on me and managed to get through. So that was really satisfying to come through there. So I'm actually on course, although there's only 5 runners, I'm on course to my first ever event win, which is really nice. Of course I realise there's only 5 of us, so it's not the most glorifying win ever, but it is my first, so I'll take it for the moment, and hopefully next time we have a few more runners. And also, really, it's mainly a bit about lack of experience, because Nick and Dylan don't have that much experience at this circuit, but they're going to get faster once they've got used to this circuit. And also, you may notice that David Wood is not in this race at this time, so he's recovering from a health issue at the moment. So hopefully we'll see him back next month. So here we are. This is the final corner. And there I am across the line, so that's a really satisfying end to the race. And I was actually quite angry the whole race, you know. I was really just wanting to actually just pull away as much as possible. So that was good.